Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far as aBeZy reveals that Octane may be one of his key targets going into the World Championship to try and take down. Censor reveals that Paris gave him an opportunity to join the team earlier on the season, but declined the opportunity and stayed with the Boston Academy because he didn't think it would help his career ambitions. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to dive into today. Just 7 days, as Drazah says, till the World Championship kicks off. Can Los Angeles Thieves go back to back? That would be a big question if they were able to make it happen. Obviously, like it's only 2 weeks apart. Most teams that have fallen off drastically have done so over a longer period than just 2 weeks. They probably have the best chance to get at least something done here. Top 3, maybe better than that, right? Who knows what's going to happen in a, well, 1 week or so's time. The Ghost Road does also mention this, right? Just talking about really the playstyles and such the new game Modern Warfare 2022 may well cater to. He reckons that they say they're listening to criticism and stuff, the developers. He reckons probably what they're going to listen to is on the maps and the mini-map, which, of course, look, for competitive play, that's what we like to see. The mini-map was, stupid in the original game. You didn't actually get to see the red dots, and then the maps were also a big complaint of Modern Warfare 19, so hopefully they fix that one. And this year is arguably been worse than it has been before, to be honest. Now, Los Angeles Thieves, I think they were going to release the 0 to 100 episodes that they do after their victories. 3 years on, I guess, pretty much from their first, well, victory in a 0 to 100 episode back in Anaheim, Black Ops 4 2019, which I guess was, I think that was it June? Yeah, so I guess it is about 3 years on from then. But yeah, that's going to be delayed until Monday, the 1st of August. So pretty good timing, to be honest, just before the World Championship begins. And I want to talk about Doug Santa Martin, right? He tweeted this out yesterday. If we played each other on main stage at Clayster in challenges, we'd actually pull more viewers than CDL matches get. So unfortunately, not both of them could qualify for the Challengers World Championship. Like, it was only allowed that one team from North America could. Clayster's team did make it in the end. I mean, the clips of you beating us to Toronto pulled more views than anything CDL related, right? So that would be, of course, top quality stuff. Now, both of these guys want to get in the league next season, ideally. Doug more than likely will not. He will still be on the Boston Breach Academy next year. I think he's done pretty well there. Like, he's had some decent success in the Challenger side. It's pretty tough to do well. Built a decent roster. But apparently he did have an opportunity this year to join the Pro League. I actually heard about this. People are saying that Censor's just BSing and making this up. I do believe this is legitimate because I actually heard about this a couple of months ago now, and I was wondering when Doug himself might talk about it, that Paris gave him an opportunity to join the team. Paris reached out to Doug and said, yes, we want to bring you in. Like, I guess, like, look, was this an idea? Was this a content to some degree idea? Because we've always talked about before the seasons began that a team like Paris, like, because you're just waiting last minute anyway, why not pick up some players that actually are going to provide more personality value than the guys they actually get? Like, Temp, of course, is a good example of doing exactly that, but, they want to get Temp anyway because he's actually a good player, right? Whereas in Doug's case, he might not quite be CDL caliber, but he does bring a lot to an organization, as he has to Boston Academy, for example. And apparently Paris wanted a bit of the pie, and they were like, look, Doug, we need an SMG player. We need like an impactful, kind of a, objective-oriented SMG player, and our SMGs currently were absolutely terrible at the time. We want to bring you into the team. Doug got the call, he thought about it, and then he declined the offer.
This time to me again, I don't pick it up. Now I'm like, bro, I don't know what's going on. Then I get a text from Theory. He was like, yo, do you have time for a call right now? And that's when I was like, all right, like, what's going on here? So I answered the call. Paris wanted me to play for their team. They offered me to play for their team with Temp, Tom Gravity, and I don't know if it would be for John or for Jimbo, but, like, I got an offer to spot on Paris, and I just said no, and because you guys believe in me, and, like, you guys have shown me no reason to leave, and I also don't think career-wise that this is going to benefit me as much as Boston would either way, but, like, I'm a big loyalty guy, honestly. Like, I felt like if I joined that Paris Legion squad in that situation, it wouldn't have helped me as much as being on Boston Academy did. So I decided to stay on Boston Academy. That's a real story. That's true. Like,
So we saw not that long ago, right, the Kismet was saying that going into this season, Paris had the opportunity to pick up the entire Texas Nation team, or maybe they could even drop their entire roster and brought on the Kismet, Havok, aBeZy, and general team that was dominating the challenger scene at the halfway point pretty much of the season. And Doug was saying that he effectively got asked before by Paris Nation to build them a roster, and now they were coming back to him more recently and saying, yeah, we want to bring you into the team. And Doug was like, nah, this is not a good idea. And I think this is an intelligent call from Doug, to be honest, because it doesn't really matter who is in that Paris Legion team, you're going to get ultra-fied. Doesn't matter if you're, you know, former world champion in John, if you're Jimbo, for example, who I actually do think has some talent in him, but just gets screwed online because he has to play after Montreal and drops a point to worse KD online than he does on LAN, because Paris obviously aren't going to pay for him to relocate to the States to be in a decent internet situation. Johnny has looked pretty decent since he's joined, but only really in Search and Destroy. Your respawn stats are going to suffer when you're the first man in on a team that has no organization and no chemistry, and you're going to get absolutely ultra-fried. So I think Doug probably made a good call here. Don't get me to Paris. Like, let me just leave that one. You know, the Pro League potential for future seasons, right? But it is interesting, really, because you'd have thought that if Doug, like, he wants to get back in the league, right? He wants to be considered that kind of caliber player once again. But even Doug, when Paris came knocking, was like, yep, no, it's not happening. I don't want that opportunity, because it's probably going to set him back further, right? He's trying to make his way back to the Pro League on another team. Now, look, does he get another spot for another organization that isn't Paris? Maybe not, right? So maybe, he, you know, he loses the opportunity there to get into the Pro League. But at the same time, he might well be thinking, well, look, I'm on the Boston Academy. If I left to join Paris, would I get that spot back? He's still there with a shout. If he's absolutely disgusting at the next game, who knows what opportunities he might well get. And we know that Paris is kind of like the graveyard shift, really. Like, once you go there, it's tough to do anything as a result. So Doug sees that. He knows that probably joining Paris wasn't an intelligent call. He decides not to do it. It probably would have just set his career back and his stock back further than it currently is. But honestly, it's kind of been on the rise lately. So I think he made a good call really not to join Paris. Would have been cool to see him in the Pro League back again, though, for a little bit. And also, with Paris really thinking that was actually going to be a good idea that was going to fix their team, maybe so, but it's kind of difficult to believe. So intriguing your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. Let's talk, though, about this kind of aBeZy, Octane, a little bit of drama, right? Because so far in their careers, aBeZy and Octane, of course, had a fair few back and forth. I'm guessing aBeZy has the record over Octane just because the last couple of seasons, Seattle Surge have not been particularly good. And of course, FaZe's record over Los Angeles Thieves was incredible up until very recently indeed. FaZe had beaten Thieves every single time they played them since the inception of Thieves in the CDL at the start of Cold War until Major 4, when Thieves took them down twice in a row. FaZe, of course, have been getting ready for the World Championship. Gizmo says this, leaked footage me versus Vanguard, trying to take it down, and is even Simp says here, the replies, like, you know, scrim at time effectively. So kind of interesting, because we looked at a couple of days ago, the fact that Optic don't play teams on their side of the bracket, whereas FaZe apparently still seem to scrim at London, despite the fact that they are on the same side of the brackets, but of course they play New York first round, which is pretty much the only team it seems they are presently avoiding. And I mean, yeah, just some morons in the replies as per usual on Twitter. Now, FaZe have been doing some pretty fun content lately. I do enjoy this stuff. It's basically like, I forget exactly what they call this. Oh yeah, talk or you're chalked is what it is. So they ask you a pretty spicy question. If you want to answer, you can answer. If you don't, then you have to eat something spicy effectively. So Cellium asks aBeZy, like, who's at the gunfight that you see in the CDL, you always chow. If you see this guy, you're always going to chow him every single time. And aBeZy reckons that Octane from Thieves is just that guy.
Who is one player you would chow 100% of the time and not even think twice about it?
Let's say Sam Octane.
Yeah,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay.
Oh my god. Alright. Who is the worst flex player in the league and why?
Come on, man.
You don't want to answer that?
No, I'm good, man. Keep tight. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, that's dead. Oh my god. Jesus.
Who's made the dumbest roster move this season?
I don't know, bro. I'm trying to think, like,
Either way, you're gonna be roasting somebody.
Paris.
But who?
Just their off-rip team.
That's not a roster move.
I mean, it is.
No, it's not. It's a roster that's like the original roster. Like a roster move is something that happens during the season.
I thought that's a deeper roast. Just like your whole roster. Like,
True, but I mean,
I'll give it to him. He did the cheat.
okay, that's
Appreciate it.
So it's tough to say exactly what the implication here is. Maybe there's, you know, a bit of beef between these guys, sometimes behind the scenes in scrims. I doubt there's, like, you know, real beef. There's real, like, anguish between the two of them. But, you know, maybe they've had a bit of a back and forth across Call of Duty Vanguard on aBeZy whenever he sees Octane, despite Octane having pretty damn good aim. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take that gunfight every single time to try and demoralize this guy. Now, Octane isn't just going to sit there and see this and take it lying down. He comes out and says the following, at aBeZy, you suck, chicken little. I'll chow that every day of the week. And aBeZy's kind of laughing back. That's the entertainment you give me, you suck. And even Pomage is here in the replies as well, right? So I thought this was rather interesting, because these two, of course, had a pretty good back and forth at the most recent major. FaZe got taken down twice in a row, rather comfortably at that by Thieves. Like, I mean, you look at both series, especially that control in the second series was absolute domination on that Tuscan. Beating FaZe in the first round was impressive, but to beat them in the way they did in the losers finals, like to not knock FaZe out top 3, of course, you know, FaZe season, never not made a grand finals at major so far this season. So that was an impressive statement by Thieves. aBeZy thinks that he's still going to get one up on Octane going into champs. Maybe that's going to be the case. Octane, of course, probably the best player ever, certainly there or thereabouts, never to have won a world championship ring. I'm sure he's hoping it's a different story this time. But aBeZy, on this evidence, may well have other ideas. Definitely tweet your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. Wanted to mention some Lion Man cards though, just because every single day there's always going to be some talk about Rostermania and what these teams might decide to do going into the off-season, because, of course, look, a lot of it does depend what happens at the World Championship. Boston Breach, of course, are going to be there at the World Championship. They could well make a run. They are one of only 3 teams at champs that haven't won some sort of event this season, so maybe it's going to be a Boston Breach potential to make some serious damage happen at this tournament. Right, we have, of course, talked about the SMG duo, Vivid and Nero, being very impactful on their day. Zinni, I think, has been very good this year on the whole, but I would like to see him turn up a bit more when he plays the FaZes, the Optics, maybe the top teams of the world. I think Methods sometimes can go missing in those series, and then TJ has maybe been their weakest player, but I still think he's been relatively impressive this season on the whole. So tough to say what you do at Boston next year, but I think they will make some sort of changes, especially if they come top 8 or something at the World Championship. One team that also is going to be there are the London Royal Ravens. What does this team do? I think it does depend a fair bit on what happens with Afro. Does Afro decide to leave? Because there's been some talk the fact that Afro is a free agent. If he wants to dip, he probably can. There will be offers out there for Afro who wants to leave. Depends what Afro's ambition level is from my perspective, because if Afro really does think, okay, I want to win events consistently, I want to be considered one of Call of Duty's greatest ever SMGs, Afro's probably got to leave London, right? I don't really see this team consistently contending for championships as a team and as an organisation, so I wonder what Afro will decide to do. If he does go, of course, that raises question marks. If he decides to stay, does this team run it back for next season, right? Because Gizmo's been great online, but on LAN, obviously his KD difference is the biggest out of anyone in the entire league, so there are questions to be raised there, I'm sure. And also the Minnesota Rokkr, we're kind of unclear what they're going to do. It seems doubtful that Attach is going to stay. They might well keep Havok on. If they do, they might need an SMG partner that's going to be more impactful than Standy, because he's been pretty underwhelming this year. There is no doubt about it. And just to mention this as well, because maybe this is a strategy that Envoy tried to employ last season, as Envoy says it didn't work. No, we got fun for those matches, says Dashy. Last year on Optic Chicago, I was at such a low point last year that I started watching anime and made my Twitter pick anime to try and channel some powers at Envoy. And yeah, apparently that didn't work out. So probably we won't see that strategy being run back here for the World Championship itself. But very much enjoyed your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us your YouTube gods. This is a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well. And help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time.
Protect the objective. Enemy moving with the bomb.
You mean this old guy? I've never used this. What the? Yeah. Wait, who did I kill? Stab? That was the guy who was knocking too. Yo, I'm dying.
Other side's got a bomb on A.
Yo, that beamed the absolute out of him.
Crim, you pulling up that out for champs? Dude, look at the scope.
Nah, that's trolly, bro.
Yeah, I'm thinking about pulling out the 10x stab. Hey, hey, man.